Welcome back to Alabama's Morning News. My name is John Mounts. I'm in for JT today. In another win for Americans who actually pay their bills, the Supreme Court blocked the Biden administration's plan to cancel nearly $500 billion in outstanding student loans owed to the U.S. Treasury. The New Civil Liberties Alliance had a big role in making this decision happen. And joining me now to talk about this is NCLA Litigation Counsel Sheng Li. Sheng Li, welcome to Alabama's Morning News.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell me exactly how this came about.
You're absolutely right. And just to put that amount in perspective, that works out to be about $3,000 for the average per taxpayer in America, which is, nothing to sneeze at. And this started all last year in August 2022, when the Biden administration out of the blue announced it's planning to just cancel between $10,000 and $20,000 of almost everybody's student loans, almost all borrowers' student loans, about 98% of them. And NCLA, along with many other groups, got involved and filed lawsuits around the country. One of those lawsuits got to the Supreme Court, or two of them actually, and one of them in the Nebraska case, the Supreme Court struck down that loan cancellation policy. And NCLA, in addition to filing its own lawsuit on behalf of the Cato Institute, we and Cato also filed amicus briefs in support of the Nebraska plaintiffs, which is Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, and a few other states, challenging this loan cancellation policy.
Sheng Li, what's interesting about this is, as I watched the coverage, the media would focus on protesters outside the Supreme Court, and they would be saying things like, give us money, it's not fair, you're rich billionaires, and they make it almost seem like you're taking money from no one, or you're taking money from the rich, but really, you're taking money from everybody, and in particular, you're taking money from people who already paid their loans.
Yeah, or worse yet, people who never went to college. And those people tend to have lower incomes than college graduates. So it's quite regressive in that regard. So that's the kind of the policy problem with it. But the Supreme Court's decision, legal reasoning, had nothing to do with the wisdom or even the content of this program. Rather, it boiled down to the simple question: who has the authority to enact a $500 billion program, the president or Congress? And on that count, I think this was maybe the easiest decision of the term for the Supreme Court, because what the court basically did was restate what Nancy Pelosi said 2 years ago. And I quote here: people think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. That has to be an act of Congress. That's what Nancy Pelosi said.
This administration seems to not really care about what their presidential powers are. They think that they can do everything with an executive order, or just speak it into action as if you were a king rather than the head of one of three branches of the government.
That's right. And the separation of powers, every school child learns this. You have the Congress, the legislative branch that writes laws and spends money, and that's the folks who need to be passing student loan relief, not the president. And this separation of powers is not just a mere formality. The framers knew if the president exercised lawmaking and spending powers instead of elected members of Congress, he would, as you said, he would be a king who could dispense, take money from anybody and then give it to his cronies. That's
kind of, the old story of Robin Hood, who the version that we always hear is robbed from the rich and gave to the poor. Really what Robin Hood did was he robbed from the government, who already took the money from the poor, and he gave the money back to the poor. So it's good to see a situation where, once again, the money it might stay in the hands of the working people who earn the money by, like you pointed out, they might not have even been to college. They might have made it's not like they're too dumb to go to college. They made a decision. They said, you know what? I think my time would be better spent if I went right into the workforce and I learned a trade, and I did this trade rather than going to college. And meanwhile, you've got these people who go to college as if it's the 13th grade. They had no real ambition to know what they're going to do next with their life, but they just keep taking out loans and going to college because, that's just what you do. And then all of a sudden they look around and go, well, shoot, I got a degree in nothing. Somebody's got to pay for this, and it's not going to be me.
Yeah, and this is something that the justices during oral argument really teased out. I think it was Justice Roberts who asked, look, you have one guy who goes to college and takes out a six-figure loan, and you have another guy who takes out a six-figure loan to start a small business, maybe landscaping, maybe something like that. Why is it that the first guy gets a break from the government and the second guy doesn't? And in any case, any kind of decision that makes that distinguishes between the two would really have to be made by Congress, who holds the public purse, and not by the president.
Sheng Li, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Alabama's Morning News and kind of explaining how this thing works, because I think it's a lesson that we should this should be taught in civics classes in school. High school, not necessarily college.
Yes, that's right. So everyone has a chance to learn it, not just people who can afford to and hope to get their loans forgiven.
Absolutely. NCLA Litigation Counsel Sheng Li. Have a great day.
Thank you.